In this video, we're going to focus on how we can create a line, a dotted line, and have text in the center. So if I refresh here, you can see here this rotation of this line will start here from this angle and ends exactly matching with our data point. So to do this, the first thing what we need to do here is get our boiler template, which you can find here on chartjs3.com getting started, the specific link here. Once you're on here, copy this chunk of code, the boiler template, and you're good to go. Next, if you want to get the source code of this video and many others, check out my Patreon page and of course join the Discord channel. All the links are in the description box. So first, let's convert this into a Doughnut chart. So we say here Doughnut, save that, refresh. Alright, so now we have that. Remove the scales. We don't have a scale for the Doughnut. There we are. Next, what I want to do is I want to change the circle here, the circumference. We want to make sure that we have 75% of this. That would mean that in here I'm going to say comma, and then circumference will be 270 out of the 360. That would mean that 75% is drawn. Once we did this, I want to make sure that we narrow this down first. So I'm going to say here comma, I'm going to say here a cutout percentage of 90%. Save, refresh, that's much better. Now I want to rotate this to this side here. And this rotation would be, well, if this is, well, it starts here, this is 0. And then we have here, oh no, sorry, it will start here at 0 because chart.js built it like this. So this is 0, this is 90, 180, and this is 270. So if I want to go 270 and we have here this 90, if I divide it by 2, that will be 45. So 270 minus 45 will be 225. So it will be somewhere here. So we have this rotated to here and we have this space here at the bottom open. So that will mean here rotation will be 225, comma, save, refresh. There we are. I think that looks perfect and the logic makes sense. So what we could do here maybe is a border radius, and that would be 10 pixels. So that's maybe more than enough. There we are. We could make it maybe 20 pixels to make it even nicer, and maybe this 595 have a nice narrow rounded item. Beautiful. So now we have this here. What I would like to do next is have a text in the center and of course have a rotation around here or a circular line, dotted line around here. So first, what I want to do is I want to put the text in the very center. To put the text in the center, I'm going to say here in the after the options, we say plugins. Let's say your center text and line. Center text line, I'm going to copy that. That will be our plugin name. That will be equal to this ID. And this is a string value. Then we're going to say here, we can draw this before we draw the data sets. So before data sets draw, we're going to say chart args plugin options. Then what I want to do here, and this is curly braces. Then what I want to do here is an object destructuring, and I probably only need the ctx. ctx equals chart. Then what I want to do here is I want to get the very, very center here. So I want to get the center here because then we can put a text in the center. For that, luckily we have access to a built-in functionality, which I'm going to show you, which is chart.getDataSetMetaIndex0. Let's save that, refresh, open up the developer tab, and you can see here all the information. And what I need is from a specific data. Here we have the X and Y. So what we want to get is the center here of the X and Y. And these coordinates here for every data set is basically identical because they are always based on a radius and the way how it's calculated, X and Y. Next, once you have the X and Y item in the center, you will also get what we call the outer and inner radius, and the inner radius is basically from this point to here, which is the inner side of our pie or donut segment. This will be very important later on. Let's get the x and y first, because we want to draw the item. So that's where we're going to get is to the data.x. So what I can say here, constant x center equals this. And then what I want to do here, I want to do the same for the y center. There we are. And now what we can do is we can put in the text. So what I'm going to say here, ctx.save to save all variables above. And I'm going to say ctx.font, and I'm going to say here, this will be a bold text, and we want to have here 100 pixels maybe, and then the font family will be sans serif. So once we did this, the next thing what I want to do here is the color. I say ctx.fill style for the color, and the color of the font will be black. Finally, what I want to do is put in the position here. So I'm going to say ctx.fill text, and in the fill text we're going to put in whatever the text would be. We get the x and y coordinates. Luckily we already have them because this is the center of the circle here, or basically exactly the center here. So the text here, I'll just put in here, let's say 10%, or what I will do is I'll just grab here the very first item. So to do that, I have to make here access to the data object, because the data object is this item here. So then we go to data sets, and then data index 0. I'll just put it as a static one, but you can play around with it as you go. So say data sets index 0 dot data index 0. Let's save this, refresh. There we are. Now it works. We want to have a percentage symbol. So what I'm going to do here, a object destructuring. So backtick. Then we say here $sign to make this variable readable. And this is just an easier way for concatenation. We say percentage sign, for example. There we are. Now I want to push this to the center, because right now we're not aligned properly. So I'm going to say ctx.text align. I'm going to say equal to center. Save, refresh. So now what I want to do is maybe vertical centering as well, because this is horizontal centering. So I say ctx.text baseline equals the middle. So it will be there, although it didn't change much. However, what I would like to do is I want to push it a little bit up, because basically what is happening now is it draws from this point, which is the center, then downwards. And if we want to be in the exact center, whatever is the font size, that's 100 pixels. So that will mean that here on the Y center, I need to push the text 50 pixels up. To do that, I say -50, or what we can do here is a constant font size will be equal to 100. So then what I will do here, I'll do the following, so we can use that. So here backtick. Alright, so now we can do here this, because this is template literals. So we can say here $sign, put in here the font size, whatever that is, and we say here minus font size divided by 2. So that could be font size divided by 2. There we are. So we have it now more soft coded, that if ever we change this, we could do a lot of things. Alright, as you can see here, we're moving it up, and that looks all perfect. Alright, the next thing what I want to do is I want to have a circle or dotted line around here, starting from this point, ending here. How are we going to do that? To do this, we need another item here. So I'm going to say ctx dot. We're going to say here, we're going to create a shape, but I want the coordinates, because right now the coordinates are set to this 0, x, and y 0, and this down would be whatever that would be. If this is a squared, so let's say this is 1000 pixels, so they will be then y 1000, and this would be x and y 1000. I want to reset the 0 point in the center of our x and y. For that, I need to use translate. And the reason I need this is I need later on the outer or inner radius length So you can calculate to start at this point and end here with a very easy way of JavaScript math functions. So let's start to do that first. So say here, CTX as translate, and if you use translate, make sure you have the save here already, or else you will have issues later on. And what I'm going to say is, I want to set the new 0 point as X center and Y center. So once I did this, I can say here CTX, and then let's see what we're going to do here. Then is we're going to start to draw the shape. So we say begin path. And then what I'm going to do here is start to get the coordinates here. So what I need to do here is ctx.move to, and then I'm going to put in here the x and y. So what I need is, I need to figure out how can I figure out this point here. So I know this point here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 0, 0 for now. And the 0, 0 is now the exact center. And then what I want to do is, I want to make a new line, and that new line, I'll say line 2, that will be the connecting line, and later on I will correct this, so don't worry. But I'm going to give you an example. So if this is 0 and I want to go at least more to the left, I need to do in here, let's say negative 100, and I'll keep this in here. So you can see, you have a visual. So I say ctx.stroke, and then once I did this, I need to do a restore. So ctx.restore to undo the translate feature. So what happens is we'll restore and grab the saved setup. Let's save that, refresh. Alright, as you can see here, we have this line here. I want to go here. So for that, what I need to do here is work with the x and y coordinates where I need to calculate. So I say constant, let's say here x core, and this will be calculated for here to move to this point here in x, and also the y. So basically I need to figure out how much I need to go to the left and how many pixels I need to go down. For that, what I need is two things. Before I even do this one, I need to know what is the radius. So let's get the radius first. So as a constant, radius will be equal to, and basically it's this item here. Let's copy this, and this would be the inner radius. And what this really does, it gives us the coordinates of this point to here, and I can show you this so you have a visual of that. Let's do negative this, save that, refresh, and as you can see here now it calculates that. Now what I want to do is I want to go down here. I need to now figure out if this is rotated downwards, how far are we going. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we not only need the radius, I need to know the angle as well. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do the following. I need a few things here. So I say constant angle is math.pi, and I say divide by 180, because 2 pi is a full circle, 1 pi is half circle, and half circle equals 180 degrees. What I also know is we have here the rotation starting point calculated. The rotation starting point is this point here. What I want to do is I want to grab this rotation and then start to calculate, and I realize it's probably not this rotation. I need to have another rotation here because this is the canvas. So in chart.js they start here with 0, but in the canvas by default it is 0 is this point here. So this is 180, I need to go here down. Well, it is considered 225. This point here in chart.js, the canvas default is not like that, because this was here 270 and we did a deduction of 45 degrees. So for the canvas we start 0 here, 90 here, and this is 180. So that will mean that this is 180 minus 45 degrees will be 135. Remember that number, so I'm going to calculate that. So we know that angle here. I guess we can start doing this here. I'll say constant, and then what I'm going to use here is the math.cos or cosine, and this here we need to calculate the radian. right now I know the angle, so I'm going to put in here the angle specifically, and the angle is 135. Then I want to say here multiply by radius, which is the radius we calculated here. If I do this and just get here right now the x coordinate, I think we'll get a very weird response, or completely nothing, I guess. Let's leave that for now. What I want to do is I want to move that down, or make sure we have that correctly. Although this might be correct, but well, no, it's not correct. We need to make sure that this here is recalculated into a pi. So to do that, I need from the angle convert it back into pi. So to do that, I'm going to say here constant, let's give this radians equals, and then we can say here math divide to dot pi divide by 180, and then multiply that by 135. Let's grab this, put that in here. This is number 1. Save, refresh. Alright, it seems like it's working, I guess. Let's do the y value as well. So we're going to say here the y, and here we don't get cos, we got sine. So if I save this, copy this, put in here, and of course this needs to be set in here. Let's see if we are getting the right angle, and there we are, we're getting the right angle. I want to start at this point here, but away from it a little bit. So how do I do that? Well, remember the radius here. What if I say I want this to be just 10 pixels away from that? So we can say here minus 10 to shorten that, and there we are. Alright, so now we've got the exact coordinate. I'm going to put the starting point here, and then we make a arc all the way to here. So this becomes now very easy. Let's see. We have this here now. So I'm going to say here the move to is now this coordinate here. Then I don't say line 2, but I'm going to create an arc. I want to have an arc, and this arc will have the following coordinates. It will be x, y, radius, which we already have prepared now, and then we have here the let's see, what is that? That is the angle start, angle end, and then we say here counterclockwise true or false. In this case we don't need counterclockwise, we just want a clockwise rotation. So that will be just set on false. This here, x and y, is the 0 point that we have created with the translate. So we say 0, 0. Radius has been calculated and shortened because of the inner radius. Now we have here the angle start. So what is the angle start so far? Our angle start is the angle multiplied by 135. Basically the radian. I think it's exactly the same, but that's alright. However, what I want to do now is I want to go from here all the way rotated to here. We know that this is basically 270 degrees. However, 270, once we hit here, this is the 0, this will be back into 0, so 360, whatever that will be, and then here the remaining. So what we know is that this is 90 degrees cut out. So that will mean that this here is half, means 45 degrees from here. So that will mean that if this is 0, this angle here is 90 minus 45 degrees is 45. So what I can say here will be angle multiplied by 45. So if I do this, there we are. That is exactly, because if I would do 0, as you can see, it will calculate the canvas 0, that is this point. Alright, so now we've got this nicely, and this makes all sense. Let's make this dotted and a thicker line. So what I'm going to say here, before I do this, I want to say here ctx dot line width will be 3 pixels, ctx dot stroke style for the color, maybe we're going to say here light gray, and then we're going to say ctx dot set line dash to make it dotted. We're going to say here this will be 10 pixels by 10 pixels, and then once we restore this, I want to remove the dotted line just in case, so we just put this on blank. Save, refresh. Oh, there we are, but we are getting an error. Alright, we have one argument in 114. Alright, my bad. Just leave it as blank. Save. Refresh. There we are. That's it. So far we have now our dotted line here. We have the rotation and we have our text in the very center based on this item here. And that's how we do it.